No one traveled near the Hellion Rift unless they absolutely had to. It was a region where space behaved like something alive, twisting light, bending gravity and whispering static through every communication channel. Even the bravest navigators avoided it. But on that particular cycle, a small patrol vessel named Starling X drifted closer than usual, following a faint energy fluctuation that didn't match any known signature at first. The crew thought it was just another echo from the rift's unstable gravity field. But then the scanners locked onto something that made every alarm in the cockpit go silent. A life signal. Not alien. Not synthetic. Not hybrid, human. Classified by the system as Terran origin. 100% match. For a moment, no one flew nada. The idea alone was absurd. Humanity had been gone for centuries, erased after the temporal collapse in events so catastrophic that not even ruins or fossils remained. Entire planets had rewritten their historical records to adapt to a universe without humans. Yet here it was. A human heartbeat. Faint, but unmistakably alive. Captain Ryla Saran was the first to break the silence. She leaned over the console, her voice calm but trembling beneath the surface. "Run the scan again," she ordered. Same parameters. Full verification. System complied. Terran origin confirmed. This time the crew reacted, gasps, murmurs, disbelief. Some even stepped back from the screen, as if the signal itself were dangerous. And in a way, it was. Nothing threatened the stability of the galaxy more than the possibility of a surviving human. No one knew why humanity disappeared so suddenly. No one knew what caused the collapse. And no one wanted the truth resurfacing. But duty overrode fear. Protocol demanded investigation. The Starling X adjusted its thrusters and drifted deeper into the rift. The scanners guided them toward a point where space looked wrong, as if reality itself were misaligned. And floating there, suspended in a shimmering cocoon of translucent light, was a young man unconscious, motionless, and preserved inside a stasis field that predates every modern technology. The moment Captain Ryla saw him, chill ran through the entire ship. Because this wasn't just a survivor. This was a message, a warning, or maybe a mistake the universe was never meant to allow as they pulled him aboard. A single thought echoed through the minds of every crew member. If one human returned, what else could be coming back? Asterisk when the crew of the Starling 9 finally brought the unconscious figure aboard. The tension in the air felt almost physical, like static building before a lightning strike. Medical officers rushed him toward the examination chamber, but even they hesitated before touching the stasis shell surrounding him. It pulsed gently, almost like it was breathing, reacting to the ship's systems as if sensing its new environment. No one had seen technology like this before. No Federation scientist. No archaeologist. No historian. It belonged to a civilization that should no longer exist, as they began the extraction process. The stasis field dissolved slowly, folding into itself like evaporating mist. And beneath it, they finally saw the young man, clearly pale skin, dark hair, steady breathing. He could have been someone from ancient Earth halls, the kind seen only in preserved archives or speculative reconstructions. Dr. Vina Corliss scanned him first, expecting anomalies, distortions, evidence of temporal damage. But what she found made her freeze. His DNA. She whispered, voice barely audible. It's pure, untampered, fully Terran. A full silence spread across the room. Pure Terran DNA hadn't been recorded for over 1,000 years. Not since the collapse wiped humanity from existence. Hybrid descendants existed in myths, but even those were unconfirmed. Yet here he was, complete, intact. Untouched by time or genetic decay. Ryla approached the medical table, her eyes narrowed with the responsibility no one would want to carry. "Can we wake him?" Vina hesitated. "He's stable, but his neural patterns are unusual. It's like he's been suspended outside time itself. Waking him could trigger cognitive shock." But protocol demanded identification. Slowly, carefully, Vina initiated the neural awakening sequence. The lights dimmed as waves of energy pulsed along the chamber. The young man's fingers twitched. Then his eyes snapped open with a gasp, as if he had been drowning in a dream he couldn't escape. He sat upright immediately, breathing hard, scanning the room with disoriented panic. The crew stepped back, instinctively, some in fear, others in awe. The first thing he said wasn't a question. It wasn't confusion. It was a name spoken like he was trying to hold on to a fading memory. Aiden. Ryla stepped forward gently. Aiden, can you hear me? You're safe. He stared at her, eyes wide, trying to process the unfamiliar uniforms. The holographic displays, the alien features of some officers, nothing made sense to him. What is this place? He managed to say. Where am I? Ryla exchanged a look with Vinawan, full of unspoken truths. Neither of them knew how to deliver. Before she could answer, Aiden grabbed the side of the bed as a wave of dizziness hit him. Images flashed in his mindlight, tearing apart the sky. Buildings collapsing into spirals, a voice calling his name through the noise. He blinked the visions away, trembling. I don't remember. He muttered. I don't remember how I got here. That was when the first alert came through the ship's comms. A priority transmission from the Galactic Federation's Central Intelligence. Terran life form detected aboard the Starling IX. Maintain containment. Do not release biological or historical data. Await further orders. Ryla felt her stomach tighten. Orders like these only meant one thing. The Federation was scared. And if they were scared, it meant this young man wasn't just a survivor. He was a threat. A catalyst. A living contradiction that could unravel centuries of carefully constructed lies. Aiden Hale, the boy with no memory, had just become the most dangerous individual in the galaxy without even understanding why. Asterisk. The moment the Federation confirmed the existence of a Terran aboard the Starling IX, a storm rippled through every level of its vast political structure. What began as a quiet anomaly detected in a forgotten region of space quickly transformed into the most sensitive piece of information the galaxy had encountered in centuries inside the Federation's central citadel. Hidden behind layers of security codes and artificial minds, the High Council convened an emergency session. Their chambers, usually quiet and ceremonial, now buzzed with tension. Representatives of dozens of species, some ancient, others newly ascended, filled the tiered seats. Every face shared the same expression, disbelief mixed with dread. At the center, Grand Chancellor Keller stood rigid, hands clasped behind his back. He had led the Federation for nearly 50 years, but nothing had prepared him for this. Confirm once more, he demanded. His voice sharp, an AI projection materialized, its form shifting with cold precision. Identity confirmed. Genetic sequencing aligns with Terran Homo sapiens. Probability of error, 0.0003%. Whispers erupted across the chamber. Some delegates recoiled in fear. Others leaned forward, fascinated. For many species present, humans were not simply a vanished civilization, they were a warning. A myth, a dangerous memory better left buried. Keller raised a hand. Silencing the room. A Terran returning disrupts centuries of galactic stability, he said, especially if the truth reaches the public. His words carried weight. The Federation's rise to power had begun right after humanity vanished. Their disappearance had reshaped political borders, opened new trade routes, and erased a competitor once known for unpredictability, creativity, and when cornered, devastating technology. To the Federation, humans had been a problem. To the galaxy, they had been a wild card. And to the High Council, they were a threat that needed to stay extinct. A delegate with crystalline skin leaned forward, her voice resonating like glass being struck. If the Terran awakens, he may possess memories of the collapse. He could expose what truly happened. Others murmured in agreement. Some looked away, guilty. A few seemed genuinely afraid. Keller spoke again, slower this time. The collapse was never fully understood, even by us. And if this boy survived it? He paused, letting the implication hang in the air. He may not be the only one. That thought turned the room cold. If one human had slipped through time, could more return? Was the collapse incomplete? Or had something interfered? The AI interrupted with another update. Unauthorized data requests detected. News of the Terran has begun leaking through peripheral networks. Keller's eyes darkened. If this knowledge spreads, he said, we could face panic, rebellion, and a resurgence of forbidden science. Humanity's return could destabilize every treaty we built. He turned to the council. We must control the narrative. No public announcements. No access to the Terran. And above all, no independent investigation. Representative from the Vadris Collective, a species known for their telepathic abilities, raised a concern. If the boy awakens, he will ask questions. The crew of the Starling Ikes will want answers. How do we contain this without provoking suspicion? Keller exhaled slowly. We won't contain him, he said. We will escort him here, quietly. Then we determine what he knows, and decide what must be done. No one needed clarification. When the Federation decided what must be done, it rarely involved mercy. For centuries, they had feared the day humanity resurfaced. And now that day had arrived, as the council session ended. Keller remained in the chamber, staring at the holographic image of the unconscious young man. His expression was unreadable, a mixture of anger, responsibility, and perhaps something deeper. Terran. He muttered, "Why did you come back now?" But in the quiet machinery of his mind, a darker question lingered beneath the surface. What if humanity never truly left? Aiden sat on the medical bed, legs unsteady, breath shallow, trying to make sense of a world that didn't feel like his. The room around him was filled with dim blue lights and translucent holograms that shifted like living symbols. The technology was unfamiliar, the uniforms unfamiliar, the faces around him, some human-like, some alien, completely overwhelming. He swallowed, forcing himself to focus. My name. It's Aiden, he repeated softly, as if the act of saying it helped anchor him to something real. Dr. Vina Corliss approached slowly, holding a handheld scanner. Her tone was gentle, almost maternal. Aiden, do you know how old you are? He hesitated. It felt like a simple question, but the answer refused to come. I think I was 18, he finally said. At least. Last time I remember, Vina exchanged a concerned glance with Captain Ryla. Aiden caught the look. What? Did I say something wrong? Ryla shook her head. No, but Aiden. The year is 4120. The words hit him like a physical blow. What? He whispered, eyes widening. That's not possible. His mind raced. Memories didn't line up with anything around him, his room, his street, the city skyline he remembered, the people he knew. All of it felt like echoes from a place that shouldn't exist anymore. He looked at his hands, turning them over as if expecting them to look older. I wasn't frozen, he said quietly. I don't remember a machine or being put in some kind of stasis. Ryla stepped closer. Aiden, we found you inside a protective field. Something ancient. Something we've never seen before. Ancient, Aiden repeated. But I wasn't. I wasn't anywhere like that. I remember light. A lot of light. And then he stopped suddenly. A vision flashed across his mind. A sky tearing open. Buildings collapsing into spirals of pure energy. A voice calling his name through the chaos. A hand reaching for him, then everything turning white. He clenched his temple, wincing. Aiden? Vina asked. What do you see? Just fragments, he muttered. I don't know what they mean. Ryla studied him carefully. She didn't see a threat. She saw a confused, frightened boy caught in something bigger than he could understand. You said your last memory was light? Ryla asked. Aiden nodded slowly. It felt like being pulled, not like being transported. More like space was collapsing around me. That word made Vina freeze. Collapsing. She repeated, Do you remember anything else? Any machines? Any people? No, Aiden whispered. Just the light. And then I woke up here. Ryla exhaled, trying to keep her expression neutral. Aiden, the Earth you remember. It doesn't exist anymore. Humanity disappeared more than 1,000 years ago. Hush. He stared at her, horror creeping across his face. Disappeared? He echoed. How? What happened? Vina placed a hand on his arm. We were hoping you could tell us. Aiden shook his head, tears of frustration forming. I don't know anything. I don't even know why I'm here. He paused, voice cracking. I don't know why I survived. The room fell silent. Ryla wanted to comfort him. But before she could, a message chimed through the ship's comm system. Captain, priority directive from Federation Central. The Terran is to remain under containment and be transported for immediate interrogation. Aiden flinched at the tone of the announcement. Ryla clenched her jaw. She didn't like the way they worded it. The Terran. Not the boy. Not Aiden. Aiden Hale, Vina said softly, almost to herself as she reviewed the scan logs. That's your full name. It appears on the biometric imprint in the stasis shell. Aiden blinked. So? Someone saved me? Vina nodded. Someone went to great lengths to preserve you. Ryla folded her arms. Which means someone knew humanity wasn't supposed to disappear. The thought sent a chill through the room. Aiden wasn't just out of time. He wasn't just a survivor. His existence was intentional, and somewhere in the universe, someone or something had decided he needed to live, even when the rest of his species did not. Asterisk. Aiden sat in a quiet observation room while the starling Ikes drifted through safer space. Outside the transparent walls, stars flowed like slow rivers of light. But Aiden wasn't looking at them. He stared at the table, hands clasped, lost in pieces of a past he could barely remember. Captain Ryla and Dr. Vina stood on the opposite side of the room, reviewing encrypted data that had just arrived from the Federation. Every line of it was stamped with warnings. Restricted level Omega, do not reproduce, historical suppression mandate. Even reading it was considered treason outside the highest ranks. But they needed answers before the Federation took Aiden away. Vina broke the silence first. Ryla, you need to see this. She projected a holographic timeline. Segments of it were redacted, lines erased, entries locked behind layers of sensor protocols. But the pieces that remained were enough to reveal a chilling truth. Ryla read the header aloud. Chronicle of the Temporal Collapse. Year 3097. Aiden looked up slowly. Temporal collapse. What is that? Vina hesitated. The day humanity vanished. Aiden's heart sank. Vanished how? Ryla switched to manual controls, bypassing the redactions through unauthorized overrides. According to Federation records, she explained, the temporal collapse was a catastrophic event that caused entire regions of space-time to fracture. Earth was at the epicenter. Every human, every city, every trace of civilization was swallowed in seconds. But how? Aiden pressed. What caused it? Vina swallowed hard. Officially, it was classified as a natural cosmological anomaly. Aiden frowned. That doesn't sound like the real explanation, Vina sighed. Because it isn't. She tapped a locked window. The warning symbol flickered, then dissolved, revealing the sealed text underneath. Aiden leaned forward, pulse quickening. Project Nexus Emergency Directive initiated by Terran High Command. Objective: prevent collapse of local space-time grid through artificial stabilization. Status: failure. Ryla closed her eyes. Humanity didn't disappear by accident. They triggered something, or tried to stop something they couldn't control. Aiden felt the ground shift beneath him. So Earth blew itself apart? No, Vina said quietly. It was erased. Aiden's voice trembled. Why? Ryla zoomed out on the timeline, revealing fragmented entries filled with anomalies, quantum distortions, gravitational spirals forming above Earth's atmosphere. Earth was experiencing distortions long before the collapse, she explained. Time loops. Spatial tears. People reported seeing their future selves. Entire cities froze for hours. Others accelerated years ahead. Humanity was falling out of sync with the universe. Vina nodded. Terran scientists invented a device, something meant to stabilize the timeline. But instead of sealing the distortions, it amplified them, Aiden whispered, the vision of the tearing sky returning to him. I saw it. I remember space splitting, light dragging everything with it. Ryla locked eyes with him. Aiden, if you were there. You didn't survive by chance. Aiden felt his chest tighten. What do you mean? Vina stepped forward, placing a data pad on the table. On the screen, a final classified entry blinked. Half corrupted, half intact. Subject 01, Temporal Safeguard Protocol. Last recorded survivor. Aiden Hale. Extraction procedure initiated moments before collapse. Destination unknown. Aiden stared at his name. His mind went numb. I was part of a protocol. Ryla nodded slowly. It appears so. According to this, someone placed you inside a temporal field and launched you out of the collapsing space-time grid. But why only me? Aiden asked, voice cracking. Why not everyone? Why not my family? Vina didn't answer because she didn't know. Ryla pressed her lips together. There's more. The Federation knew about Project Nexus. They were monitoring it. And after the collapse, they sealed every record, every witness, every scrap of data. Aiden felt anger rising in his chest, raw and unfamiliar. So the Federation knew what happened to Earth, he said quietly. And they lied? Vina nodded. They didn't just lie. They erased the truth. Ryla folded her arms. They will interrogate you, Aiden. Not because you're dangerous, but because you might hold the missing pieces. If you remember something they don't, they'll do anything to keep it buried. Aiden looked down at his hands, trembling now. I wasn't saved, he whispered. I was hidden. The weight of that truth pressed down on him like gravity. Someone in the past had made a choice of one boy, erase a planet, and leave a conspiracy stretching across 1,000 years. And the worst part? Aiden still had no idea why he was chosen. Deep beneath the Federation's capital world lies a sealed labyrinth known only to high-ranking officials. The Forbidden Archives. Every trace of humanity's downfall erased from public history was buried there centuries ago. When Kale accesses restricted channels, he discovers a cryptic reference to this hidden vault. A place rumored to drive even seasoned researchers to madness. Guided by fragments of corrupted data and a growing suspicion that the Federation is lying to him, Kale prepares to infiltrate the archives. As he descends into the cold, metallic corridors, automated defenses scan him, reacting to his human DNA with unsettling familiarity. Doors open on their own, lights activate as if recognizing him. Inside, he encounters ancient holograms showing timelines collapsing, civilizations fading, and Earth dissolving into a temporal rift. The archives whisper the impossible. Humanity didn't die. It was removed from time. And Kale's sudden reappearance wasn't an accident. It was the first glitch in a cover-up that spans millennia. Asterisk, as Kale digs deeper into the archive's corrupted records. One figure keeps appearing across centuries of fragmented footage, a hooded silhouette known in classified files as the Temporal Shadow. This entity is neither fully human nor fully machine, moving through collapsing timelines as if untouched by causality itself. Each time humanity's history glitches or vanishes from recorded memory, the Temporal Shadow is there observing, adjusting, and erasing. Kale realizes that this being has been monitoring him since the moment he reappeared in 4120. When he leaves the archives, he notices subtle distortions in reality around him, light bending unnaturally, echoes of voices that don't match anyone nearby, and fleeting glimpses of the shadow standing at impossible angles, as if occupying two moments at once. The Federation's security forces grow increasingly nervous, insisting that Kale must undergo temporal stabilization. But he now knows that their true fear isn't him, it's what follows him, the Temporal Shadow. For reasons unknown, is drawn to Kale's existence, and each time it appears, the environment glitches, walls flicker, gravity stutters. Time freezes for fractions of a second. Kale understands that this being is connected to the erasure of mankind, but he also begins to suspect something far more unsettling. The shadow might be trying to warn him. Rumors spread across the Federation like cracks running through glass. Kale's existence has already begun to destabilize political alliances. But the emergence of the temporal shadow pushes the situation toward full collapse. High-ranking members of the Council argue behind closed doors, each faction blaming the others for allowing a temporal anomaly to roam freely. Some believe Kale is the key to restoring balance. Others claim he's a living weapon capable of unraveling space-time. As tensions grow, fleets mobilize near strategic borders, and entire systems prepare for conflict. Kale soon discovers that the Council has issued a covert directive. He is to be detained indefinitely for the preservation of universal continuity. Agents begin hunting him across the capital world, but every attempt to capture him is thwarted by inexplicable distortions, gravity shifting, time slowing, or matter bending just enough to let him escape. These anomalies fuel the panic even more, leading many to believe Kale is intentionally destabilizing reality. Amid the chaos, a hidden faction within the Federation contacts him. They call themselves the Continuum Seekers Scholars, scientists, and defectors who have studied fragments of humanity's erased legacy. They reveal that the fracture in the Federation isn't just political. The universe itself is becoming unstable, reacting to Kale's return like a wound reopening. And what's worse, they suspect the Federation always knew this day would come, and chose to hide the truth. Instead of preparing for it, the Continuum Seekers lead Kale into the deepest layers of the Federation's archival network, a place so restricted that even high-ranking officials only know it by whispers. As they decrypt ancient files sealed for more than 2,000 years, a chilling revelation comes to light. Humanity didn't vanish because of an accident, nor was it erased by an external enemy. The truth is far darker. The Federation itself engineered the collapse. Terrified of humanity's accelerating mastery over temporal physics, the Council of that era manipulated a catastrophic time event to remove Earth from the timeline entirely. But something went wrong. Instead of erasing humanity cleanly, the event created a temporal scar wound that the universe has been carrying ever since. Kale's sudden reappearance is not random. He is the echo, a remnant that slipped through the fracture during the collapse. His existence proves the timeline was never fully sealed, and now the scar is reopening. Temporal storms multiply across the galaxy. Star systems flicker between states of the past and future. Entire civilizations report sightings of impossible anomalies, cities appearing where none existed, people waking up in eras that aren't their own, the horrors hidden in the forbidden. Files reveal one final truth. If the scar continues expanding, the universe could unravel into a temporal singularity, an endless loop of collapsing histories. And the only entity capable of stabilizing or destroying the timeline is Kale himself. Kale stands at the center of a galaxy, trembling on the edge of collapse. The Continuum Seekers reveal that the temporal scar is now fully active. Its energy pulses through him like a second heartbeat, reacting to every thought, every emotion, every moment of hesitation. Across the stars, fleets clash as factions of the Federation fight to determine what should be done with him. Some want him protected. Others demand he be neutralized. But for the first time, Kale realizes the truth. No one can decide for him. The timeline responds only to his presence. With the scar widening, the universe begins to distort in real time. Space bends like liquid. Past and future collide in fragments. Kale witnesses flashes of the erased Earth, its oceans, its cities, its people, appearing for seconds and then dissolving again. The memories are not his, yet they feel like pieces of a life he somehow lost before he was ever born. The Seekers beg him to focus, to anchor himself, because the timeline is mirroring his internal conflict. If he acts without clarity, the universe will collapse into temporal entropy. At the core of the scar, Kale confronts a vision of what could have been, a version of the Federation that embraced humanity instead of fearing it, a version of Earth that survived. But he also sees the cost restoring the timeline would rewrite history completely, erasing the lives, cultures, and civilizations that emerged after humanity's fall. Saving Earth would mean sacrificing countless worlds that exist only because time took a different path. Letting the current timeline stand would condemn Earth to eternal oblivion. With the universe collapsing around him, Kale makes his decision. He chooses a third path, one no historical model ever predicted. He stabilizes the timeline not by rewriting it, but by weaving both realities together. A merged continuum where Earth returns without erasing the civilizations that followed. A universe that remembers its past instead of burying it. The temporal storms quiet. The scar seals. Reality reshapes itself around his choice. When the light fades, Kale awakens on a restored Earth, orbiting peacefully beside the capital world of the Federation. Two histories, now one. And in this new universe, Kale is no longer the last Terran. He is the first of a new era, proof that even a single human can change the fate of galaxies.